Hi everyone, this is Ashley Latecki Ellenboss with Sky House Herb School at Apothecary, and today I'm going to show you how to make onion syrup. This is a super easy traditional recipe that's been used for centuries, probably thousands of years, to treat coughs, bronchitis, really anything that is affecting the lungs specifically, but it also can really help relieve sore throats, scratchy throats, dry throats, all of these different things. So all you need to make onion syrup is a container, preferably glass, and an onion. Now, I prefer to use red onions. I find that they're a little bit more pungent, but you could use a white onion. I would not use a yellow just because it's a little bit on the sweeter side, and we really want that pungent spiciness. Because that's what's going to help break down the mucus and help as an expectorant to get the mucus out of the lungs. The other thing you need is sugar, and you can use any type of sweetener. I like to use brown sugar because it also has B vitamins and iron in it. So that is like it's just a nutritional bonus. But you could use white sugar, you can use honey, you can use, gosh, just about any sweetener would work just fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our onion and slice it up. So I'm going to cut off the bottom. And then you do need to peel off that kind of flaky outer layer of skin. So I'm just going to take that layer off. I'm going to cut off the other end, which can sometimes help it peel off a little bit easier. So this is a remedy that I've used with both of my children even when they were very, very young. So my second daughter, she has kind of like me, weaker lungs. So she tends to, when she gets sick, it tends to settle in her lungs. She tends to have a bad cough and kind of that barking cough. And I had the same thing as a child. So when she was about 6 months old, she got one of these really bad coughs. And I made her some onion syrup. Now, for children under a year old, you should never use honey, but you can use plain sugar or any type of sugar. And so I used brown sugar, and I would give it to her in a little dropper. So you can use any tincture bottle that you maybe have had that's empty, or you can just rinse out one that you're using. And that's the easiest way to give it to babies and kids actually really is just through a dropper. So what we'll do is I'm going to take this, got one more little piece here. I'm going to take my onion, I'm going to open up my jar. Oh, in my eyes, I can feel the onion. So that's a good sign. And I'm going to slice it and just see if it will fit into my jar. Now it doesn't necessarily have to fit perfectly, but it is nice because we're going to layer it. We're going to do a layer of onion and then a layer of sugar, and we're going to continue to do these layers until we reach either the end of the onion or the top of the jar. So I'm now going to take my sugar, and I'm just going to maybe have, I would say, about half an inch to an inch. So you just want to be able to cover it. So I don't know if you can see that. So the onion, now it's rolling down, but when you shake it flat, you want to have that slice covered. And then I'm going to do another slice. And each slice is only, you don't want them to be very thick. So probably about half an inch as well. So I'm going to put another layer in. And then more sugar. And ooh, my eyes, I can feel that. So that was a little too much. So I'll just set that here and use that for the next layer. Pat it down a little bit. Now, I can tell already that this jar is, that this next slice is going to be too wide for it. So I'm just going to take and I'm going to cut off a little portion just so that I can make sure that these slices are going to fit. So I'll do another slice. Perfect. Take my sugar, put it on top, pat it down. I'm going to use a little bit more. So that layer's covered. And so you're just going to do this all the way up to the top. And you'd be surprised. Most kids don't like onion. It's just not their favorite flavor. However, with the sugar, it becomes really, really sweet. I mean, it is a syrup. So, even though you might think, gosh, my kids will never take this, they will, because it basically tastes just like sugar. And it has this it has a little bit of that tone, that onion flavor to it, but it's not overwhelming. Now look, I accidentally cut it and it's not perfect. No problem. I'm just going to stick it in and make another layer, even though it's not like, a perfectly symmetrical round piece. Sprinkle my brown sugar on top. And I think you can do a few more layers here. Now, this doesn't take very long to be able to use. So I would say probably you want to let it sit on your counter, not anywhere too warm, but not anywhere cold either. So, your countertop in your kitchen is going to be just fine, and let it sit for, maybe like an hour, 2 hours, all day if you have that time. And, eventually what will happen is all of this sugar will become liquid because of the juices of the onion. And then it will melt the sugar. So what will happen is you'll have a syrup. In this case, I'm using brown sugar. So you're going to have this brown syrup. And then what I can do is take my spoon and push the onions down, and then all the syrup comes to the top. And then I can just feed my children or myself that syrup by the spoonful until it's gone, and this will last probably a good, like 3 to 4 months. You can refrigerate it. That'll help it last a little bit longer. Oh, tears, tears of joy. Woo. So you can use this for a whole season, more or less. I've made all different size batches, and I usually end up going through it, when it's cold flu season, within a few months. And even, at the first sign of a cold, I like to use elderberry syrup and echinacea glycerate for my kids. But, I will also sometimes just give them a teaspoon of this just to make sure I'm keeping their lungs clear. So that's it, folks. I'm just going to put the lid on top here. And this is the jar, and you can see the layers of the onions in there. It's actually quite beautiful. And I'm going to let this sit, and then we'll come back and I'll show you exactly what the syrup looks like and how we can use it. All right, so we are back and the onion syrup is ready. Now, a little hack: if you want your onion syrup to be ready faster, you can put it in a warm bath of water. So I stuck mine in a pot on the stove, just on low, and filled it so that the water was up to where the top of the sugar was. And I just had it not even boiling or not even simmering, but just warming, just like a low temperature. And it took, I would say, probably about half an hour for all of the sugar to melt, and it's starting to extract the onion, all the juices from the onion. So you can see also how it's compressed down quite a bit there. So once you have that, again, the longer you let it sit, the stronger it's going to be. So you may want, even after you do the hot bath and the hot infusion, to just let it sit for an extra 10 minutes or 15 minutes, just to really let it soak up those juices. But, if you have a crying kid who's coughing and hacking and mucusy, and you're like, I just need this medicine now, then just use it. So what you can do, again, what I mentioned before is a really nice way to give it to children, or even for yourself, is to have a dropper. So this is just a dropper from a standard 30 milliliter or 1 ounce dropper bottle. And then, you could pour your syrup into one of these bottles and then just disperse it as needed, or just take it by the spoonful straight from the jar, or take your dropper, squeeze it, suck up the syrup. Let me get a little bit more. And then just take that. It's delicious. You'll be surprised at how tasty it is. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. You can't overdose on this stuff. So, feel free to take it liberally, and just notice how quickly it will start to loosen up the phlegm and get things moving. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all again soon.